Welcome to my second Commander Evaluations video following the spoiler season of Tales of Middle-earth. I'll include links below for my previous evaluations and a short for the core mechanic of the ring. I wasn't expecting half the set to be spilled on the first day, but I've been working hard to evaluate each card. I've broken up the first day into 4 parts to avoid an hour-long video of me just talking. Without further ado, Magic the Gathering is an expensive hobby.
Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes. Working jobs we hate, so we can buy shit we don't need.
Allow me to show you the best shit you can buy for the right price. Starting off with the S tier, number 26, Gandalf the White. This is a 5-mana ETB doubler, just not as good as Elesh Norn Mother of Machines. The trade-off though is your artifacts and legendary spells can now be played at instant speed. Take your pick as to which is more important, but I'm sure you'll just be playing both in your decks. I suspect this card to be valued at $10 to $20 depending on the version due to comparison to Elesh Norn going for $25. Number 27, Sauron the Dark Lord. He is brutal as his lore said to be more malevolent than the first Dark Lord, and it is shown in this version. The ward ability forces opponents to 2-for-1 themselves with not only a removal spell but an important permanent as well, most likely people's own commanders. I like the playground tactics of if I can't have it, then no one will. He also has a cast trigger to amass an army. Normally, I don't like the amass mechanic, but with this trigger, it's a very powerful exception. You'll generate a powerful attacker really fast, make it more threatening with the ring bearer, and then refill your hand. Everything a growing Dark Lord needs
to take over the world.
Pre-order price is $30. Stick around to the end of the video to hear my thoughts about pre-order prices. 28, Aragorn the Uniter. Lots of colors, lots of value. You can go a lot of different directions with this card outside of getting a little something extra for everything you play. I feel like if you focus on a trigger, you can easily break this card. Alluren was first to come to mind when paired with things like Cloudstone Curio to weave a red creature into the cast and bounce loop. You have a win condition from the command zone. Pre-order price $30, again, stick around to the end. Number 29, Bilbo, Birthday Celebrant. With the exception of reprints, this is the first card from the Commander decks to earn my respect. Not only do I love the flavor of this card,
Today is my 111th birthday!
It has an easy win condition from the command zone. 111 life is an easy task because you're in the best colors for it. If you can't win after activating him, you built your deck wrong. No pre-order price available yet. It's hard to gauge due to it being first of its kind and found in the pre-con decks. I guess it'll be no more than $10. Reason being is if they charge more than the deck itself, why not just buy the pre-constructed deck instead? Now we're at the A tier. Number 30, Witch King of Angmar. Worded rather oddly but interpretable. This thing would be best in Two-Headed Giant and dealing with certain commanders and or equipment that pass themselves to opponents. Outside of that, this card is a discount no mercy, but I think that will still buy you a lot of time in a game or get people's removal from their hands. Plus, with his stats and that activate ability, you will most likely kill 2 creatures in a single combat. You can buy No Mercy for $8, pre-order price is $24, don't let people rob you. This card is worth less than No Mercy. Number 31, Hue of the Entwood. A risky card, but in the right decks, this is a game-ending spell. If you're playing this without intention of sacking everything, you built your deck wrong. What sucks about this card is you'll need a lot of setup of ramping your lands. And if you draw it early, it'll be a dead card in your hand. No pre-order prices yet, but wouldn't put for the aforementioned reasons. Number 32. Last March of the Ents. For 8 mana, I expect a spell of this cost to be potentially game-ending, and the uncounterable clause is nice to prevent getting got. However, you can still get screwed by removal targeting your big boy and miss out on all that sweet shatter. Most likely your opponents have been saving their removal for when you swing that big lug their way. This card just gives them more of a reason to cast it at a different time. In both scenarios, you miss out. Pre-order at $20, that's a ripoff. Number 33, Pippin, Guard of the Citadel. This is a more specific but just as useful Mother of Runes. A little weaker that its costs an additional mana and that the protection is a little less flexible. Nonetheless, you protect your creature, which is all that Mom is typically used for. Pre-order at $10, the better Mom goes for $2. Don't be a sucker. Number 34, Samwise Gamgee. Efficiently costed, easy triggers, and an activated ability to synergize with itself. What's not to love? break out your balance effects and make your deck really resilient. Go combo centric and close out the game. If you lose key pieces, no big deal, because you'll just get them back. Pre-order is $10. A better commander, Safi Eriksdotter, goes for $1. I'd pay close to that price. Number 35, Call of the Ring. It's a conditional bob that also gives you a temptation trigger. Even if you don't have the creature and miss the draw trigger, you still get to move into the next ring tier despite not having a ring bearer target. This card doesn't do anything particularly well. You may have inconsistencies with the draw trigger, albeit somewhat easy, and is currently the slowest temptation enabler. There's just better things to spend your money on, like Dark Confidant for $9 or Keen Duelist for $2. The Duelist is strictly better and is insanely cheap, thus why I wouldn't pay more than $5 for the Call of the Ring. Finally, we get to the garbage tier. To make kind of a shortcut, these cards are just draft filler. They're not trying to be something they're not. Feel free to pause the video so you can evaluate for yourselves, because to some, they can be playable. The reason why I don't really care to talk about them is because your deck slots are valuable. There will always be a better alternative to these cards. This takes up slots 36 through 46. Now for my favorite subject matter of this tier, the dishonorable mentions.
The rest of you garbage, grab a rack and settle in.
Number 47, Bojuka Bog, also getting a reprint full art as Barrow Downs. This card may not fit this price category, but I think it's the biggest slap in the face to be put in collector's boxes. They upshifted a common all the way up to mythic. I don't care if it got a full art treatment or that it's the staple in hosing graveyards. If I got this in a collector box, I'd be pissed. No matter what price this thing settles at, it's just an inflated piece of shit. Or 48, the Ring to Rule Them All. The desirable effects of this card is the board wipe and the drain, but you don't get them the turn you play this card. When you need a wipe, you need it desperately. The delay trigger will be the death of you, and it doesn't sweep legendaries, the most prevalent super type in the game of Commander. The drain effect is also situational, and in most cases, it will not be good enough. The first chapter doesn't affect the board, thus is negligible. I look at this as a do nothing the turn you play it. Your slots are valuable, don't waste it on this. This is a bulk rare. Number 49, Galadriel Gift Giver. For 5 mana, you could do a lot better than the ETB and attack triggers that this awards you. To me, the gifts that she gives you are meaningless trinkets. It's like she picked up rocks and twigs and gift wrapped them for your birthday or Christmas.
Jim?
Oh, cool. That's from me?
Number 50, Eomer, Marshal of Rohan. The nicest parts of this card is that he has haste and has a pretty sweet stat block. However, I imagine your legendary creatures are valuable, thus their deaths are not good. People don't just fill their decks with disposable legendary creatures. This card's flavor is to rally the troops in the event of a fallen leader. Only one problem. If your opponents have half a brain, they could deny you the extra combat trigger by blocking correctly. Even if you lose the creature, you lose board power. It's a lose-lose no matter what. Then they added the clause of it only being able to trigger once a turn, and it doesn't give you an additional main phase, meaning it can be difficult to string additional combat steps. This card is a stipulation-rooted nightmare with hidden complexity to play properly. I can see a lot of players making game-altering mistakes that your opponents will not let you take back. Don't pay more than $1 for this, you could do better. Some closing thoughts. I'd like to give special thanks to those who stay tuned and my subscribers. My inspiration for this channel comes from the community's requests for help and my desire to answer. As off-putting as it is to hear some of these pre-order prices, I'll let you in on a little secret that you may or may not already know. The set's hype is off the charts. When this happens, absorbent amounts of products get purchased and opened. What do you think happens to that excess that people don't want? It ends up on the secondary market. This is a simple economics of supply versus demand. The more supply, the lower the demand, the cheaper the prices. I'm extremely confident that this will happen because of the One Ring. People will be cracking packs like sharks in a feeding frenzy. Because of this card, the set will have a lot of record firsts. I predict the highest sealed prices until the ring is found, the most sealed products ever opened, and more importantly, the most worthless singles in history. These current pre-order prices are stores trying to take advantage of people who don't know any better. Thank you for watching.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.